What are we going to do as a church? Our souls need to wake up. We need to respond to the gospel of Jesus. He said, go into the world.
We don't want to deal with reality, Christian. We don't even want to deal with reality, even though we've been saved from this place.
I'm calling on you today in the name of Jesus to rise up to the call of God. Christ is coming back soon.
If I start telling people about hell, I might just scare them off. Where are you going to scare them off to? Hell number 2? People stop and think about it. If hell really exists, and it does, I didn't say that Jesus did, then don't you think people need to know about it? Can't you at least give them a fighting chance? Or are you just going to sit there and let them burn?
This is Rory from Don't Let 'Em Burn. Good evening.
And this is Chris.
Welcome to another night of our wonderful show. Tonight we'll be looking at current events, things that are happening in our world today. You know, we haven't done one of these end-time current events or current events in a long time. And I think this is well overdue. Chris, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. We've been having so many interesting guests on, from Billy Crone to Doc Marquis. And we plan on getting some more guests on. But, you know, in that meantime, we've been planning some things in the background and doing a lot of editing. And the plate is full on both sides. So we're now trying to get back to doing these exposés on branches of our world, from entertainment to world events, Bible prophecy, technology, stuff like gene editing. But you know what? If you want to catch some of our old shows, and if you've followed us for a while, you already know we're on YouTube. So everyone go to our YouTube and check out the videos there, and you might find something that interests you. Just check out the message. And you can also find us on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter, scene.life, vid.me. And just like and share with those that you think will listen, or those that you just want to share with, so that everyone could get the message that we're trying to bring. In fact, one of our messages that has a lot of views, it's not even on our channel. It's on the Sheila Zielinski channel. So you want to go over there and check that out too. It's a pretty decent show, and I think you'll find some information there that you probably didn't think you would actually stumble upon. So, Rory, go ahead.
It's going to be quite interesting to see some of these things that we're going to be discussing, some of the issues that we're being faced with in our world today. Just a lot of the things that are on the horizon. There have been so many things that are going on, Chris. So many different things that are happening. It's unbelievable, to say the least. You know, the Bible is really real. I see a lot of things coming to pass now that I never thought. It's frightening to see the amount of things that are happening so quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, America's being threatened by North Korea, and we're looking at the possibility of the next world war. All of these things are predicted in the Bible.
Yeah.
And
as a matter of fact, Chris, you're talking Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So, you know, right here, the passage we were talking about, Christ is talking to the believers. He's talking to the believers, and he's saying, hey, guys, you know, don't be troubled. The end is not yet. You know, we have a hope. We have a hope that's in Jesus Christ, that he's coming back. And we know he's coming back for us. So that's our hope. But he's telling us, he's showing you basically the playbook of the enemy. He's showing you the enemy's playbook, that you will be able to see what's going to happen. Go ahead, Chris.
yes, indeed. And the enemy's playbook involves the destruction of humanity, taking us to the lake of fire with him through death and everything that comes before that. So we just want to help everyone to understand that these times that we are living in are some of the most profound, and there's so much to talk about. But the one important thing is Jesus Christ. That is our only hope. So we're going to discuss these topics. We're telling you this information because, one, a lot of you just don't know it because it's so much to take in. But it's a warning at the same time that the end is near. But because the end is near, that doesn't mean it's time for you to fear. It's time for you as a Christian to lift up your eyes to, look for Jesus, because your redemption is drawing near. Now, for you unbelievers out there, this is an extreme warning, because, hey, any of you out there can die in 30 seconds or one day or a year. But where are you going to go after that? What guarantee do you have? We have our hope in Jesus Christ. Roy?
Yes, I believe that it's imperative that people really get to hear this gospel of truth, because this is the only way that people can be saved. There's no other way. Nothing. There's no other way. As a matter of fact, Jesus Christ said that I am the way. He is the truth. This is the truth. He is the one who gives life. And he said, no man, no one, nobody comes to the Father but by him. So yes, Jesus Christ says, I am the way. He is the way. So there's no other way. And it's not to be boasting or bragging, but this is what Jesus Christ said. And that's why we're here, to share the truth of Jesus Christ with you. That's all. That's the only reason why we're here, is to share God's word, his rich word with you, and to share with you some of the things that are going on in the world today. So with that, Chris, I don't know if you have your first item that you want to just talk about briefly, or...
Well, I know you had a couple of things that you had on your mind the other day. So if you want to start with that, that's okay.
Well, okay. Well, we can, you touched on one. You touched on North Korea. North Korea said that they're going to nuke us. They're ready to nuke us, and they have shown videos in North Korea showing bombs dropping on America. But in this geopolitical move that's been taking place, it's not just North Korea now, or it's not just the United States of America, but we see all the players are lining up. We see Russia, we are seeing Iran, we see Syria, we see South Korea, the United States, Japan. Russia moved troops to the border. China moved troops to its border. They have cut off flights to Pyongyang. So many things are happening, and America has moved a group of military pieces to that region of the world. So things are starting to heat up big time. President Trump said he ordered his military advisors to get ready just in case we need to go to war. Now, we don't know the inside scoop. We don't know a lot of the other things that are going on, but we do know that these things are coming to fruition. So these are quite interesting times that we're living in, Chris. Just amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. The climate is rich. 150,000 troops that China deployed to deal with the possibility of North Korean refugees over fears Trump may strike Kim Jong-un following the missile attack on Syria. This is from DailyMail.com. So we see the power players are shifting. We have Russia, we have China, we have North Korea, we have the United States of America, and other things are bubbling in the background. We got Israel, Syria, of course. This is starting to become or seem like a really large powder keg ready to blow. And if it does, we already know from the outcomes of different wars. We've been at war for a long time, but from the last two previous wars, world wars, that is, we know that millions of people lost their lives. Just this, from the last century to the century that we're in now, the amount of lives that were lost is a devastating number. We're talking about from communist regimes to occult antichrist figures. We're talking about genocide. Now we have this stuff going on with Islam, and how, that's becoming one of the biggest threats in the world.
Yeah.
So these are the things that are going on. And so war is inevitable at this point. We'll see what God does. But this is a warning. Hey, here it is. I have another one here. This is from Business Insider. And it says, this new nuclear-armed U.S. bomb may be the most dangerous weapon in America's arsenal. The U.S. just introduced a new type of bomb into its already extensive arsenal, and it may just be the most alarming U.S. weapon yet. The new bomb is the B-61-12. On its surface, the bomb does not appear to be as dangerous as other weapons in the U.S. arsenal. Although the B-61-12 is nuclear armed, it has a yield of 50 kilotons.
Jeez.
Tiny compared to the largest nuclear bomb that the U.S. Possesses, which has a yield of 1,200 kilotons. But as Keck notes, the difference in explosive power doesn't tell the entire story. What makes the B-61-12 bomb the most dangerous nuclear weapon in America's arsenal is its usability, Keck writes. This usability derives from a combination of its accuracy and low yield. According to the Federation of American Scientists, the B-61-12 will be able to strike within 30 meters of its target. This accuracy allows the bomb to destroy targets that would have previously necessitated the use of a larger but more indiscriminate weapon. As a result, the bomb's relatively low yield, the weapon could produce less nuclear fallout than earlier nuclear weapons, something which would limit unintended casualties for a nuclear attack. I'll stop there. Go ahead, Roy.
Well, the bomb you're talking about, Chris, is when somebody hears about a nuclear bomb, they think about a massive bomb. This bomb is so small, it's the size of a man. You know, it's probably about as long as, if that much. It's not that long. It's an atomic super bomb. They just completed tests at home on this bomb. This bomb's non-nuclear component. So this thing is a very small thing. And like you said, they're able to put this on one of their new fighters, and you're able to just drop it. Not much bigger than any other bomb. You know, it's like I said, it's probably about 5 at most 6 feet in length, and delivers a decisive blow. They're saying that the fallout won't be as bad as the other nuclear bombs.
Well, yeah, and let me just read these two little sentences here. It says, the concern over the B-61-12 and the thing that could make it the most dangerous bomb in the U.S. arsenal is that such an accurate and usable nuclear weapon could encourage military thinkers to start engaging in wider variety of situations in which the use of nuclear weapons would be acceptable. Once the B-61-12 is fully tested and deployed, it will be integrated into existing NATO forces and the F-35 in order to enhance the alliance's nuclear posture in Europe. You see, and there's a lot you can go into about NATO and the United Nations, but we won't take the time to do that right now. Go ahead, Roy.
I'm sorry, let me give you the dimensions of this. Dimensions are, it's approximately about 855 pounds. The length is 141.6 inches. The diameter is 13.3 inches. So not very long. It's 13 feet 3 inches. So a little bit taller than a man. But you can see how this weapon is a lot smaller, and it's able to give a decisive blow to the enemy. So these are some of the things that are now into play. And you know, Chris, while we were talking about this, we got to talk about this test that was going to be done on the day Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong, this gentleman was doing his military parade. He did the military parade, and then he was going to launch the weapon. You notice that the weapon just basically blew up on the launch pad.
Right, yeah.
So next on the agenda, well, we talked about Japan. Japan just experienced a tsunami a few years ago. You go on YouTube, you still see the tsunami. They're dealing with devastation in that country, not only devastation from that, but also the nuclear power plants that were damaged, the radiation that's Japan. But at the same time, they're preparing for war.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So this is astonishing because, and the Bible is so right. You know, the heart of is desperately wicked.
Desperately wicked.
More inclined to spend more money on war than to help those that are impoverished, those that are hurting. Somebody was telling me the other day, we were talking about these missiles that were fired. You're probably going to go there, but the missiles that were fired, I think they were $4 or $5 million a piece. I'm not sure of the price, but if you fire 60 or 50, just think about how many people you're able to feed for a day with those things that were fired, or not even feed, but help them to have a better lifestyle.
In this other article I have, there's this is from defense1.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, and I don't know if this is a liberal website or not. I see a couple of articles on the side that are interesting, but it says U.S. Army exploring devastating new weapon for use in war with Russia. Now, we're not sure if we're going to go to war with Russia, but it's an interesting headline. But let me talk about the weapon. It says the kinetic energy projectiles would be a Tuscan warhead that moves at 3 times the speed of sound, destroying anything in its path.
Yeah.
Now, let me pause right there. Now, there's all sorts of things going on in the background as far as weaponry and technology and things that a lot of you haven't even heard of that have been in development for decades. And this is one of them. And you can look at DARPA, you can look at MIT, Department of Defense, and you do some research and all that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, were the United States to go to war with Russia, both sides would draw deadly weapons that we've never seen on the battlefield. And speaking of deadly weapons, let me pause again. Russia has one called a Satan and the one called a Satan II. I'm not sure who dubbed it that, but that's what it's called. And the Satan II could take out a population the size of Texas or France. So think about that. Now, on the Russian side, there are new and smaller tactical nuclear weapons. To counter them, the U.S. Army is taking another look at a devastating weapon. One first tested by the Air Force at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in 2013. The kinetic energy projectile, or KEP, a Tuscan-based shape moving at 3 times the speed of sound that can destroy anything in its path. Think of it, this is a quote, think of it as a big shotgun shell. Major General William Hicks, the Army Director of Strategy, Plans, and Policy, said a few weeks ago, but unlike a shotgun shell, Hicks said the KEP moves at incredible speeds of Mach 3 and Mach 6. Yeah. Wow. Randy Simpson, a weapons program manager at Lawrence Livermore National Lab, explains the kinetic energy projectiles are warheads that take advantage of high terminal speeds to deliver much more energy onto a target than a chemical explosive they carry would deliver alone. I would not want to be around it. Not much can survive it. If you are in a main battle tank, if you're a crew member, you might survive, but the vehicle will be non-mission capable, and everything below that level of protection will be dead. Go ahead, Roy.
Well, you talk about this depleted uranium, and we saw it in Iraq, where the tanks were using this depleted uranium shell, and they would use this against the insurgents. They would fire this on the insurgents, like sometimes oncoming vehicles, and it doesn't have it's not charged, or it doesn't detonate. There is no it's just a depleted uranium, but it, like you said, it moves so fast. Anything in its way, because of the energy, it would just obliterate it. And anything around it, once it hits anything, it's like it's depleted uranium. So there is I can't even, radiation that's happening right there. So and these are some of the things nobody talks about. The radiation that affects the people, the radiation that affects the kids that would even go by these tanks after things are gone. These are some of the dangerous things that is happening in our society today, or in the world today, that no one is touching on. And I'm not saying that people who use chemical weapons, or we shouldn't defend ourselves. Oh, definitely. But you know, there are some definite dangers to these pieces of equipment that are being used.
Yeah. It says here, why would the U.S. military, which has put untold billions of dollars into precision weapons over several decades, need such a blunt and terrifying weapon to counter small Russian nuclear weapons? This is a quote from Hicks. He says, the Russians maintain their tactical nuclear stockpile in ways we have not. So, in other words, we're behind the race. And so we have to develop these new technologies to counteract and catch up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
what do you got next? So, Chris, why don't we just talk about the bomb strike that was ordered for those tunnels in Afghanistan?
the Moab.
Yeah, the use of the Moab bomb. So they had some tunnels on, I think, on the border of Pakistan that the Taliban or ISIS or whatever it is was using. And the United States, for the first time, used the largest non-nuclear bomb to destroy these caves. And it sort of came as a shock for most people that they would use such a weapon, which hasn't been used before, to stop ISIS or any one of these groups that are out there.
President Trump ran his campaign on wiping out ISIS. That's part of his campaign. He also ran a campaign about not alerting the enemy to what's going to go on. Now, he took action like he said he would. And the previous administration took no action. And ISIS flourished. And we already had these weapons at our disposal. So we see a contrast here. Somebody that's willing to do something about ISIS compared to somebody that did nothing. But enable, he's not the only person that enabled them. But that's another conversation.
Right. Well, you know, what we saw was the use of this bomb that was used, the Moab. It's 21,000 pounds. It's a massive ordnance that was used to destroy these caves, and they're saying that a lot of people have died. But, you know, I'm going to step off here in a little bit and just say this. One of the things that people need to remember is that ISIS, ISIL, all these groups that we have today, we were the country that actually created them. Now we're dealing with an issue where they're not telling us, or they don't want to tell us, but these people want to kill Christians. And
yeah,
we're not hearing much about this in the news, but it's happening. So, you know, yeah, he did say he was going to fight ISIS, ISIL, and he did keep his word in doing that. Well, it's not finished yet, but he just started. All right?
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll see where it all leads up to, because everything is converging.
Yep.
Oh, man. What I have next, if that wasn't disturbing enough, we're going to go into some areas here, people, that if you listen to our technology shows in the past, then you know how far we get into this stuff. So we're going to start off with an article from technocracy.news. The technocracy that's forming around us, I think everyone here needs to explore it. You don't have to go super in depth, because when you start to explore what technocracy is and how it's developing around us, you'll see some of the dangers, from the environmental movement to surveillance. All sorts of things go on with this. And this is another place where things are converging very rapidly. So anyway, this article says, Bioethics Film Festival urges scientists to heed warnings of science fiction movies. Now, if you watched enough science fiction like I have, and maybe Rory, you'll see there's always a warning, or always some sort of predictive programming. And you see development of holograms and surveillance and drones and what we call the police state. Also, things that have to do with the thought police. The thought police. These are the things that want to control the way you think. And we see this in the mainstream media. We see it all over the place. So I just want to give you that little tidbit before I get into this article. Here it goes. It says, a public dialogue on what would go wrong with misdirected science is always welcome, but it will take more than 50 people to make it to the public arena. Nevertheless, some people are alarmed that scientists are going too far and will harm society more than help it. This is the premise of everything that we see coming is to help humanity.
Absolutely.
But
Or,
every
or it makes it look like it's to help humanity.
right now there are people in these industries that they truly want to help humanity, but they don't realize they have a wicked heart. They truly want to help the world, and they've been programmed with evolution and environmentalism and all this stuff. But the heart is still wicked. They don't know Jesus Christ, but they think they're serving humanity. However, some of these technologies are not evil in the way that they're being conceived, and then others are. But it's always the people behind the technology that you got to worry about. You know, who's pushing the button? Who is steering the ship, in other words? Is it a good person, quote unquote, or is it someone with nefarious ideas? So let me move on here. The Penn Bioethics Film Festival is trying to start a public dialogue about the real scientific issues that appear in films such as Ex Machina and Her. In Spike Jonze' Her, we were faced with the rare positive depiction of invasive technology, while the human counterpart in the film becomes dependent on the AI operating system. Voiced by the breathy Scarlett Jones, there's no hidden evil agenda of the machine. Instead, the film represents the computer is innocent. Eerily similar fashion to Siri and Alexa, the integral question of the film is close to my heart. Namely, by learning to love, does it become her? That's one of the questions here, right? So Her is not the first charge into our dependency on complex machines. Artificial intelligence, environmental impact, pandemic diseases, cyber body modifications, and any point of tech often expand into a plot based on the question, what if this went wrong? And so there you have part of the premise here of this article.
It already went wrong because men are now saying, hey, we want to live forever. We want to do this. We want to do that. So it's already gone the wrong way. These people are going headlong into something that they don't understand.
Correct. And I didn't even get to finish watching the movie Her. It was just too much going on in it that I was just disgusted, you know. But as I just showed, you know, the guy falls in love with the AI. In other words, you know, that's what goes on here. And we have other TV shows out there like Humans, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and others that depict such a thing. So my thing is always, if they could put it in a movie, there's a high probability that it will or can happen.
It's not far off.
Right. And so it goes down here now. It says, however, while films might implant multiple visions of a dystopian future, a real-world discussion in the ethics of experimentation can be surprisingly absent. That void can breed a whole host of misunderstandings about a real-world science, leading us to treat revolutionary ideas, whether CRISPR or AI, only as things to fear. Jonathan Marino, a bioethics professor of the University of Pennsylvania, is still trying to bridge the gap of public concern, pop culture, and the isolation of the lab through movies. He launched the Penn Bioethics Film Festival in 2016 with the intent of opening a public dialogue between relevant films and bioethical issues. This year's festival ran April 4th through 6th, showing Ex Machina, Her, and Avatar, chosen for this year's theme. Almost Human is the theme. Around 50 students, professors, and Philadelphia natives attended the screening of Her on Wednesday. So a quote here says, people will simply allude to Spock or Data from Star Trek or some science fiction film in their lectures. Marino told me, we do it all the time. There's an implicit conversation between the entertainment industry and people who are interested in bioethical issues. Our biggest problem is trying to figure out what not to show. Now, you see here, I talked about earlier predictive programming. So we've all been predictively programmed to expect AI, expect space exploration, and all these things that come into the sci-fi. But these ideas came decades ago before they got popular. And most of the people that developed these ideas decades ago, they were in contact with some interesting spirits. But that's another conversation. Go ahead, Roy.
Talking about spirits, one of the things that, and we could go on with this, with this topic for a long time. One of the things that's coming up now is this for-profit meditation centers are the new yoga studios. The richly anointed meditation centers are popping up around town. This is in New York, and are the latest cashing on the boutique wellness trend. So this is what's coming on. And remember, we had that gentleman on the show that talked about now what's going to happen is that you're going to see a lot of their churches, the enemy's churches, are going to be popping up. And these are one of the, I'm going to call it a name that they used in the supermarket industry. It's one of the, it's going to be, I'm going to call it the urban guerrilla. So it's small. It's, you're able to put it in like downtown Manhattan, wherever it is you need to go, so these people can walk into a place, meditate, open themselves up to the spirit. This is what's going. And it says, can money buy happiness? It's an age-old question that researchers recently have become eager to answer. A 2016 study by Case Western Reserve University found that making more money reduced negative emotions for people earning less than $80,000 a year. But the benefits disappeared after the 200,000 threshold was reached. That may help explain why businessmen felt an emptiness when he sold his minority stake in a real estate company, Intermix, private equity firm, in 2007, and he opened up this new meditation center. So we're going to see these popping up all over, these meditation centers that they're doing, and it's starting in New York. And now you're going to see a lot more of these coming, and people are going to be opening themselves up to the Kundalini spirit or the yoga spirit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one interesting thing is about the center is I don't think it's just going to stay in a physical atmosphere. I think this is going to transcend over into virtual reality technology. I think that's what's going to happen. Just like maybe even if it does stay physical, we'll have it like sort of like a video game cafe,
right?
Where you want to go to this place to be with other practitioners of yoga, aka Hinduism, or Buddhists, to get in touch with whatever, or empty your mind so something else can come in. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
We're going to move from there to, it's called news.com.au. And it says, fears Google Hire, which is the name of the program, Google Hire, could allow employees to see your entire search history. How about that? The tech giant is working on a job site called Google Hire, which could let prospective employees snoop your embarrassing search history. So those of you out there that use Google Chrome, there's a couple things you need to do before you continue going. And you need to tell Google Chrome not to keep your history and your searches. And you also need to go to another search engine. One of the safe ones is startpage.com. I use it all the time. Or what's the other one, Rory? It's like a puppy or something. Oh my gosh. I can't remember it.
Is it Dogpile?
Oh, it could be something like that. I can't remember right now. There are other safe alternatives to keep your privacy. And so Google, as you should already know, but if you don't, they store tons of information on you. One of the biggest companies that does this, and so does Yahoo, Apple, and other companies, okay? So your search history, if you don't know, is always being collected by these companies. So anyway, in this day and age, every boss is going to quickly Google a prospective employee before asking them to come in for an interview. But now the technology giant is working on a project called Google Hire, which the Sun reports will help employees learn perhaps a little bit too much about their new recruits. It will reportedly be a recruitment tool similar to LinkedIn. However, early reports, it will be available through your personal Google account. If that's the case, it will link things like your search history and YouTube account with your job application, laying it all bare for employees to see. Now, another thing is, well, if you don't know, Google owns YouTube. They bought it out years ago. If you have a YouTube account and you leave a lot of comments everywhere and you have certain views, whether it be conservative or liberal, it doesn't even matter. You go into your account and you could see all the comments you left. So if you don't go and delete the comments, or most people won't do it because they're saying something that's important to them, right? Well, if this happens here with this Google hire, they could see all those comments and be like, well, I don't want this type of person in my job. And they could discriminate against you, in other words.
Absolutely.
So think about that. Well, you see, fortunately, I don't have to worry about that, but this is serious. It's serious. The technology website Axios reports the tool is currently under testing and that it will let employees post job listings and accept and manage applications. It was apparently developed by Google's Enterprise and Cloud Division, headed up by Diane Green, whose startup was acquired by Google in 2015. If you go to Wikipedia and look up the assets of Google, I think a lot of you will be surprised how many companies they bought up, including on satellite companies too. So there we have it. On to the next one. So Amazon, basically, they have 50% share of the market, the internet market, as far as sales and products. They develop their own technologies and products. And so this one here is from Commando.com with a K, and it says, update to Alexa privacy issues. Amazon releases audio files as evidence in murder case.
Wow.
People, if you're bringing these equipment, these technologies into your home that record, we already have enough issues with our phones and our laptops where anyone who gains access, especially places like the NSA or wherever, they can access these things and turn them on and record you at any time. That's out in the open now, okay?
Absolutely.
We have cases where apps were downloaded on people's computers and phones and they didn't know. So we have basic intrusion already. Now you're going to bring in another device. It reports things to the other side. Whether you want to think that the other side is nefarious or not, doesn't matter. It's reporting things, right? You see here, it's using audio files that are recorded or released in a murder trial. Okay, so whenever you need Amazon Alexa, she's there. She's waiting for your next command, ready to give you the weather report or daily news, turn up the heat, or turn off the lights. Whatever you need, she's your virtual assistant and she's there to help you out. But for every time Alexa has responded to the command you've given her, there are several more times where she's jumped the gun. Listening in on everything you're saying is what it takes for Alexa to work. And that means she's overhears some things you may not want her to. In fact, many Alexa owners have complained that the virtual assistant often initiates when the wake-up word or trigger hasn't been spoken. The gravity of this reality was brought to light towards the end of last year with the 2015 murder trial of a man named James Bates. After Bates pleaded not guilty and the case went before a jury, the investigators pushed to have audio files recorded by his Amazon Echo, I guess that the AI is Alexa, to be admitted as evidence, right? So you're not just bringing in a device, you're also bringing in an AI, which learns
everything about your home. And the phones, Chris.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The phones already do that. We have issues with that. We have the phones, we have the TVs, we have this. And now you're going to bring in something that's going to recognize your voice infraction, know your patterns in your house. that you have never had before. Now it knows all the patterns. It knows the different levels of the voice when you're speaking. And it not only that, it monitors everyone in the home, who comes
Right.
and visits, how often you visit. Amazing.
For context, the murder case revolved around the unexplained drowning of a man named Victor Collins, an acquaintance of Bates. Collins was found dead in the hot tub at Bates' home in Bonneville, Arkansas. Bates claimed that he found Collins dead when he woke up the next morning. However, investigators believe there were signs of strangulation. I'm not sure if that's a homosexual couple or what, but it sounds funny. Where exactly does Alexa come into all this? Officials working on the case believe that Alexa may have overheard something that could provide critical evidence for what really took place the night Collins was found dead. In February 2016, Bates was officially charged with the murder of Victor Collins. Amazon was then served a warrant requesting that the audio files from the night be handed over, but Amazon fought back, much like Apple. Well, I guess they lost that case, but you know, the whole point here is data is being collected. They can subpoena it and use it as evidence against you. So be careful what you're saying in front of these devices, even if you're not doing anything wrong, because the time is going to come when certain things can't be said about individuals, whether it be homosexual or transgender or a Muslim.
Right.
We don't know where all this is going to go, but the time is going to come where your free speech won't be free anymore. Go ahead, Roy.
I am just amazed, Chris, at how people are not even thinking anymore. They're not thinking about what's happening, how quickly these things are happening, and how our lives are we are being intruded. We are being bombarded with all these things, these different things. People are not paying attention. They don't see. They don't know what's going on. Come on, really? It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Somebody would go out and bring this thing into their home and say, "Oh, we have. What time is it, Surrey or whatever the thing is?" They don't see what's going on. Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we found out last year is that Google search, they have the microphone there.
Yeah.
But if you turn that on physically and then stop, sometimes it doesn't stop. And if you put on voice recognition and you're just saying, like, say, Google is on top, well, it's going to hear Google on and turn on and start recording you.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of that, it says here, how to track and watch YouTube channels privately. It says, last month it was revealed, this is from bestvpn.com. It says last month it was revealed that adverts by corporations like AT&T, Verizon, Coca-Cola, and Volkswagen, and many more were being shown on YouTube before videos that contain extremist and hate-fueled opinions, such as racist content. At least that's what they say. The news caused a massive wave of corporations to withdraw their adverts from YouTube for fear that their ads would be associated with distasteful videos. The journalists who stalk YouTube looking for leads about political dissenters, oh boy, oppressive regimes, and dangerous people of interest. The extremist nature of YouTube is no secret. YouTube can be a pretty dark and scary place for people researching extremist subjects. Viewing that type of content is part of the job. So here it is, right? I don't know what type of website this is, liberal or what, but from the language here, who's to deem what's extremist? Who?
The thought police.
Exactly. So here it's just giving you, it says here, don't track me. Just as advertisers don't want their brands attached to the hate-filled content, nor do most people want to associate their identities with it. That's why many people want to access online content, including YouTube videos, in private manner. For people who live in oppressive political regimes, the dangers can be extreme. In certain locations, you can go to prison for watching news that is considered outside of the official location. Yeah, local narrative. In the most severe circumstances, the regime could even kill you for political dissent. People living under such draconian restrictions need to access all online content anonymously, and blah, 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 right? So here they're basically giving you some of the same advice that I gave earlier. And it says here that people are waking up to this fact and are beginning to return to alternative search engines, the best of which is startpage.com. I mentioned that earlier. Startpage is based in the Netherlands, which means it is safely out of each U.S. gag order and warrants. The search engine doesn't track users' activity. It can also help people to avoid cookies and spyware through proxy web pages using Startpage server. And I'll leave it right there. There's some other advice on there, but you can go there and check out the article for yourself. All right, so that's it for tonight, people. Thank you for listening, and don't let them burn. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. If you want to pick up one of our fancy little shirts and mug, you can go to teespring.com/Don't Let Them Burn Hell 2 and pick one of those up. You can also support us on Fundly. Any donation amount helps. We're trying to get some documentary films going. And we're also on Patreon. So you have access, or, you just go there and help us out. So if you have any messages to send them through our email, don'tletthemburn.com, or through our YouTube, or any other means that you can get at us. And just want to thank you for listening, and just be prepared spiritually. Jesus Christ is coming soon. Roy?
Amen. Yeah, that's the same thing I want to say. Is just trust in the Lord, lean not onto your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Jesus Christ is coming back, and we gotta be ready to meet our King.
Amen.
I want to thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful night. Good night.
Good night.